Good evening. Buonasera a tutti. My name is Gina Crusco, and this is Music for Interesting Times. So, Music for Interesting Times seeks to present creative responses to COVID lockdown and keep the creativity and the inspiration going for us all. And we build community not only within our geographical location in the village in Lower Manhattan, the neighborhood of Casa Italiana, our presenter tonight, but also in the wider world. And tonight we have guests from as far away as Northern Italy and Sicily. So let's celebrate together. The holidays are behind us, and we had hoped that we'd get some mileage out of Valentine's Day, but that didn't go too far. But we still have a few things that will mark time and give us a sense of moving forward with hope and optimism. One of which is Chinese New Year. So Chinese New Year was celebrated this year on February 11th and 12th, but luckily it goes on for 15 days and ends with the Lantern Festival. So we're going to celebrate with some music from China, the Lantern Festival that ends Chinese New Year's. We also, of course, are celebrating Black History Month all month long, and we have some wonderful music to help us celebrate there. And then we're also going to celebrate Beethoven's 250th birthday. Well, he's not really born this month or this day, but so many people are celebrating his birthday in this year that we thought we'd jump on board there. And here to help us celebrate that occasion, we have a composer and pianist who have worked together for many years. We're lucky enough to have them on our program tonight. And we're going to be joined by our composer from the sunny south of Italy, that is Messina in Sicily. And he is clinical assistant professor at New York University and composer in residence at Casa Italiana, our sponsor tonight. Our guest pianist is appearing from the north of Italy, Sarzana in Liguria. He's a pianist, a conductor, and the director of Conservatorio Puccini in La Spezia. Please help me welcome Roberto Scarcella Perino and Giuseppe Bruno.
Grazie Gina.
Prego, grazie a lei. E ciao Giuseppe Bruno.
Ciao,
hello everyone. Glad to have you here. So, are you going to help us celebrate Beethoven's birthday?
Yes, for sure. Of course, we are kind of celebrating Beethoven through my music that has nothing to do with Beethoven, of course. The only thing we share love for the piano and the piano sonatas. So like Beethoven, I wrote some piano sonatas. He wrote 35. I just wrote 5 of them. But for a contemporary composer, it's something unusual. So for sure is this. And the Beethoven that happened to, we spoke about Beethoven because I wrote my last sonata that is actually is not premiere yet. It will be premiere a little bit tonight, dedicated to Giuseppe Bruno. That is that he plays so much music about Beethoven, and this my sonata is kind of inspired by this genius in the structure, in the construction of the sonata himself. So for this reason, I want to dedicate it to him, but many other reasons I dedicate, of course, to Giuseppe.
Wonderful. So Giuseppe, you've had lots of opportunities to collaborate with the composer. And how did you two meet?
Thanks for asking. Roberto and I have been friends for more than 20 years already. And actually I met him in Pisa. I was called to conduct his opera A Caval Donato, that is about Iliad. And so then started the friendship, and some years later I asked him for some music to play for me and for other music to be played by my actual wife, who is a saxophonist. And so things went ahead like this. I played I think about a couple of hours of music, of piano music and chamber music by Roberto, and he's still is my friend, so probably I didn't do it too bad. I hope.
Yes, the piece was actually a piano concerto number one, because I wrote two piano concerto. And the first one, I did an arrangement for piano and string. I did a saxophone quartet that was, worked so really, really well. And after that, we start to, a long collaboration, and we start to, whenever I was writing something for piano, or also, he's an amazing conductor too. So the friendship is based not only to our relationship as a friend, but also he's give me a lot of advice about the orchestra, the direction, the conducting of the orchestra, and the piano music, of course.
And probably he's one of your most satisfying interpreters. I understand that you can have some surprises when people unleash their own interpretation of your music. And so how is it having Giuseppe interpret your music?
The best thing is when you write and you know who is playing your music, because it's not just writing music. You write with your interpreter in your mind. So I know what his hands can play. And of course, he can play a lot of music. And I can be very virtuosistic when I write for piano, because I know that he had in this repertoire list and also, very difficult piano music that he played. Plus, when I play the music at the same time, he can really read my style very well, because he played now since so long. It was 1999 when he conducted my opera. So there are many, many years that he played my music.
Wonderful. So I understand that you do tailor your music somewhat to the person you're dedicating it to. And you have 5 piano sonatas dedicated to 5 different people who have been integral in your musical career. Tell us a little bit about how they inspire your music in particular directions.
So the piano sonata, I started to write the piano sonata not many years ago. The first sonata that I wrote is dedicated to my piano teacher, that is Sonia Power. She was an amazing pianist, and unfortunately, she left us. And I want to give a big gift to her as my piano teacher. So the best thing is to write a piano sonata. She was my piano teacher, but she was also very fond of my compositions. She was helping a lot with writing music. So I wrote this piano sonata that tells a story of a lesson that I had with, a piano lesson that I had with her. But still, she was from Slovenia, and but she had a very love for Sicilian music. So I have in the sonata there are at the beginning there are some scales, the technical part, and there is also a tarantella, Sicilian tarantella, because it's like the ending of the class. There was also joy with all the students and everybody.
What fun! So, are we going to be able to hear a part of that, Giuseppe?
Yeah, it would be nice to have little part for the sonata.
Yes.
So, yeah, the tarantella from the first sonata, the last movement.
What movement is that?
The third movement.
The third movement of the first sonata. Okay, wonderful. Ready for you, Giuseppe.
Thank you.
this is the first part of the Tarantella. Bravissimo, Giuseppe. So, yes. And the second sonata is actually dedicated to my friend, Patrizia Di Carrobbio. She lives in New York. We are very close friends. And she always organized a salotto musicale, a musical evening. And Giuseppe played actually there in this concert house. And she helped me to build my audience in New York a lot. So not only that, but the first movement that is called Allegro Birbante. Birbante is kind of rascal that I will never use with a person like Patrizia, but she was a little bit like that, because without saying anything, without showing anything, she was helped me to introduce him to many different people. And we know how networking is important in New York.
Birbante is a very operatic word. We call birbante in opera. Oh.
Yeah, the joke is because brillante is usually what you use, but it became birbante.
Very good. Oh, we'd love to hear it.
Okay.
So this is the beginning. Bravo, Giuseppe.
Bravo, Giuseppe. Yeah, so Roberto, I just have to interject that, we hear such an Italianate style in the first selection and such an American sort of feeling here. And yet, as I've heard said before, it's all completely Scarcella Perino.
It is true.
How do you manage to keep?
I am Italian. I am also American, and I am in this. I like to absorb lots of style, and make me their own. I always, whenever I go, I listen to music and begin mine. Even in the subway in New York, I listen to many different music and sounds, and as a composer, you are a sponge, so you absorb everything and then you make your own.
Yes, it's wonderful. And by the way, to those listening, if you have questions for any of us at any time, use your chat function and type in your question, and we'll take some questions probably at the end of the hour. So let us know what you're thinking. So tell us a little bit about what goes on in your third and to whom it's dedicated.
So the third is a person that everybody knows, that is Stefano Albertini.
Oh, bravo, Stefano.
Is dedicated to him, yes. Stefano is our host, and Stefano made me the composer in residence. It's like the Esterhazy family for Haydn, like this patron for the composer. So I am the composer residence at the Casa Italiana, and also Stefano opened the auditorium of the Casa Italiana. We all are waiting to go back there to perform our music. And is one of my biggest supporters for the music. He liked my music. And for him, I wrote this 3-movement sonata, number 3. And the typical piece that remind him was the second movement. There is a valzerino, because in Mantua, they still go to dance they dance polka and liscio, musical that is called liscio, and the valzer is one of them. This valzer also reminds a little bit of Nino Rota, and we know that Stefano is really passionate about Fellini, of course, Nino Rota's music.
Oh, fantastic. I love Nino Rota. Yeah. I have to just correct myself. It is not the chat function where you ask your questions, but the Q&A, of course. It's self-explanatory. So please, audience, do use your Q&A and ask us whatever's on your mind. And so great. Let's hear some of that valzer.
Yeah, and the valses goes on. Sorry for the kind of internet, but the music is all recorded. We actually, with Giuseppe, we made a CD that was published by the Da Vinci in Japan. So if you want to listen to the music, you can research the music online on Spotify.
It's wonderful, yeah. So I've listened to it on Spotify in its entirety, and it's wonderful.
And and the fourth sonata is dedicated to my husband. So it's a love sonata that is dedicated to Brian. Brian is half Swedish and half Irish also. So of course, if I had to choose the music of Sweden and the Irish, I am really attached to Irish music because when I was a student, I was always dancing Irish dance. And the last movement of this sonata is a kind of dance studio where you enter in different rooms and you dance different Irish music. There is a promenade that is between these many dances, and then you open the door and you enter in this world of dance. So I imagine this as a finale, like an happy dance finale. So Giuseppe is going to play the promenade and the first dance, and then there are many others.
Wonderful. Thank you, Giuseppe.
And on.
Wonderful. So that really gives us our journey from the first through the fourth. And now we have our premiere section. We're going to hear something from your new fifth sonata. So when did you actually finish this piece?
During the pandemic, I was very active because the therapy for me was to write music. So I wrote many things. And one of I think in December, I started thinking about writing another sonata, and then I finished the sonata and I sent it to Giuseppe Bruno, dedicated to him. I wrote it really quickly, but of course I was just doing that because I had so much time that I was like into the sonata. And of course, when Giuseppe Bruno sent me back the sonata, I listened because he played for me, and it was very moving. Was very moving also because it was, so many emotions that everybody had in this moment, and to receive it as I was so happy to see something complete, something arriving and coming back from me and then arriving back to me. That was really, really beautiful.
Yes, and also
and I will thank Giuseppe always for that emotion that gave it to me.
And also to have a collaboration. After so many years of close collaboration, you finally can get together in some way, even through lockdown, by going back and forth over this sonata. It's wonderful that you can do that. So how is this one different? How does this, what kind of journey have you taken through the other four to arrive at this point?
So the fifth sonata for tradition, usually for every composer, is a transitional period that you kind of change a little bit. But this sonata, I want to push myself a little more with sounds and something kind of new that I never did it on the piano. So for sure was interesting for me as a in the moment, in the process of writing. That's for sure.
Good. And so what section will we hear tonight?
We're hearing the second movement, so the calm one, because it's kind of not easy sonata to play. But this movement, it's a melody that is growing. Giuseppe is going to play the ending of the movement, where the theme is kind of growing with a lot of notes. You will hear it.
Lots of notes. So
I don't want to be technical in this. It's a variation of the beginning.
Okay. And is this the homage to Beethoven?
Yes, in a way, yes. Yes. It is the part that I was thinking about Beethoven's variations. He loved to do variation of the theme. So for me, was a kind of doing the same process that he was doing. So we are back to Beethoven.
Okay, beautiful. Great. Okay, Giuseppe, let's hear that. Bravo, how wonderful. It's reminds me of Beethoven in his moments of great peace and conciliation. It really has that feeling.
Thank you. Beautiful. It's always a compliment when somebody compares you to Beethoven.
Of course. So Giuseppe, how do you manage to practice and get these pieces ready when you're now the director of a conservatorio? How do you manage that?
It's a hard life. Today, for instance, it's been a very long and tiring day. So, it's not always easy. But, since unfortunately I'm not a young guy anymore, so, I'm quite experienced, I can manage it. I try to, and also in this moment of our musical lives, unfortunately, there are not so many concerts. So mostly I have to practice for recordings. That is a bit different than practicing for concerts.
Yes.
So you can use the time in a different way. The preparation is different. You don't have to work so much on the memory and so on.
Yes.
But okay. Somehow I do it. When if I see that I cannot play the piano anymore in a decent way, I will stop.
Oh, that's not any time soon. Not soon at all. It sounds absolutely wonderful, and it's such a delight to hear this real journey and progress from your first through your fifth sonata, Roberto.
Thank you. And we have actually a gift for our audience because I will post, or maybe Julian will post the link of the YouTube video of the sonata as a premiere video of the fifth sonata. That nobody saw, so it will be like first people. So after the show, everybody can listen to the sonata.
What a privilege and what a gift! It's so delightful, and we're really grateful to you both for coming to us so late in the evening, coming from Italy. It's now what, 10:30, 11 p.m.
It's 11:29.
It's 11:29. Wow. So, yeah, thank you for staying up late with us. And Giuseppe, thank you for arranging with your neighbors. I hope they came and saw us. Anyway, they heard it through the walls, right? So wonderful. Well, we'll see Giuseppe and Roberto again towards the end of the hour. Don't forget to post your questions. And don't forget to copy the link so that you can listen to the entire sonata, our premiere, exclusively through Casa Italiana Zerilli-Marimò of Roberto's fifth piano sonata. Thank you so much, and we'll see you both very soon.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Buonanotte. So we're going to change tacks completely and talk about Chinese New Year's. So Chinese New Year's 2021 was celebrated on February 11th, but as I mentioned before, we have 16 days of celebrations for that holiday, and it goes on until February 26th, a couple days from now. So this festival, the Lantern Festival, which closes Chinese New Year celebrations, was begun during the Eastern Han Dynasty between 25 and 220 AD, and the lantern symbolizes wishes for a bright future. So here to help us celebrate, we have two musicians from Music from China, an organization based in the lower Manhattan neighborhood of Chinatown, not far from Casa Italiana's Greenwich Village home. And our guest performer, who will play the erhu, a Chinese two-stringed fiddle, has been hailed by the New York Times and the Washington Post as a master of the erhu. He's coached Chinese instrumental ensembles at Williams College, at Swarthmore, and at NYU, and has performed as a soloist with Yo-Yo Ma. We're also delighted to have the founder and director of Music from China join us. So please welcome Susan Cheng and Wang Guowei. Greetings to you both and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 新年快乐.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again. 新年快乐.
新年快乐.
快乐.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Happy New Year. Yes.
Okay. I was very happy that I learned how to say erhu, which is the instrument. So that was a big mouthful. So here we have Wang Guowei with his erhu, and you're going to help us celebrate Chinese New Year, I hope. How did you both celebrate this year? Any festivities, any family, any celebrations?
Well, for me, unfortunately, it's at home. You can't go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, normally people, friends get together, have wonderful dinners, and not to mention the family. That's the traditional way. But of course, this year we can't do any of that.
Right.
Well, there's always next year. Well, actually, this year, the end of this year.
The end of this year.
Yeah, the end of the year and the beginning of next year. We hope we can do that again.
Wonderful. Is there anything special about the year of the ox?
Well, the ox is the second zodiac animal, in this cycle of 12 animals in the lunar calendar. And it is said that the ox is hardworking, it's reliable, and it's very honest. So these are all qualities that we should aspire to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, and Wang, what kind of music is played for these celebrations?
Oh, during Chinese New Year, the Chinese instruments, a lot of pieces for celebration Chinese New Year's music. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, do we find that the music is often very joyous and fast and loud, or what kind of music do we have?
Normally, it's fast and loud.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand that the piece you're going to play for us is not quite so fast and loud, but before we get there, I want to ask you to tell us a little bit, Wang, about your instrument, the erhu. Well, first tell us where that name comes from.
Okay, the name erhu, in Chinese means number 2. So erhu is 2 strings fiddle.
Okay, and who relates to the family of instruments?
Yes,
No.
whole family
Actually, I'll correct that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The different kind. Yeah.
Who is the all the nomadic people who live on China's borders. So in ancient times, Chinese people, the Han people, always refer to these nomadic tribes as Hu people, HU.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So actually, the erhu probably originated with these people on China's borders. So it's a fiddle played with a bow, and so the Chinese name we add the number 2 in front of Hu, so it becomes a 2-string fiddle of the Hu people.
Of the Hu people. Fascinating. So what's special about your fiddle, Wang?
This instrument?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This instrument has history around 1,000 years. Now, the special bow is fixed between 2 strings.
Fixed, yes.
Yeah, fixed between 2 strings.
I see.
Yeah, you see?
Yes.
And also, the sound box covered the snake skin.
Yeah. Snakeskin. Can you put it closer? Wow.
Yeah,
What is it? Is python?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Is python skin available easily?
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yes.
And good python skin is necessary for the sound of the instrument?
Yes. The snake skin quality is very important for erhu's sound quality. Yeah.
Right. Do you have to oil the skin or put something on it to keep it fresh?
Pardon?
Susan, can you explain?
Yeah, you have to be very careful with the snake skin of the erhu because that's the most vital part of the instrument.
Right.
You know, when you buy an erhu, you choose by looking at the snake skin.
Wow.
Look at the pattern of the scales. They have to be homogeneous. You can't have one section which is very large and then another section of the skin which is very small. So that's not a good piece of skin for the instrument. So
Okay.
the scales should be the same size.
I see. So
They're even is very important.
they're even, yes. And so they're large scales, so they come from the fattest part of the python, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, probably. Not the belly part, the top part.
The top part. Wow. It's so interesting. Okay. So
Also, one thing for erhu is very important.
uh-huh.
You see, is a string far away from neck.
Yes.
So I use my finger can push very hard. This makes a difference vibrato or pitch bend.
Pitch bend.
Yeah.
Can you show us? How does that sound?
This technique is very important for Chinese music.
Can you show us? How does that sound?
Okay.
Show us.
I play a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And does Chinese singing have a lot of that same vibrato in it?
Yes.
It does.
Yeah. Also
So-
the sliding.
And the sliding. So it does mimic the voice.
Yeah, voice like a speak, like singing.
Yes, and wonderful. Okay, that's amazing. What a great instrument. So 2 strings, and what is the range of the instrument?
Three octave.
3 octaves. Okay, so big range.
Yeah, so normally the tuning is the D and the A.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what can you play us something very soft, and then can you play us something very loud so we can hear what the instrument does?
Okay.
Okay.
That's a soft.
How beautiful.
Now
Loud. Is this an improvisation?
It's not, but the usage, how the performer plays the vibratos, where he places vibrato, and at what when he expresses his melody, and also when he does the sliding note. All that has to do. All that is really improvised.
I see.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that kind of together, it kind of imitates the vocal.
Yes.
Language,
So-
because Chinese language is very musical.
So interesting. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the piece that you're going to play.
Okay, let me give you the background of what
Yes,
is
please.
taking place. Well, traditionally, the erhu for a long time, it's always been used as an instrument to accompany, like an ensemble or operatic singing or folk singing. So it wasn't until the early 20th century that people began to realize its potential as a solo instrument. And so one of the first musicians who wrote solo erhu music was someone called Liu Tianhua. And on New Year's Eve, the Lunar New Year's Eve in 1928, he invited his students to his home to celebrate. And he was feeling very happy and very confident about the coming year. And so at the spur of the moment, he just picked up his erhu and he improvised a song on it, which he called A Beautiful Night. Now, among the noteworthy songs that Liu Tianhua wrote, this piece probably took the shortest time to compose, obviously. But nevertheless, it has become an essential piece in the repertory of erhu students. So everyone has learned this piece.
Oh, very interesting. Wonderful. Sort of like Caro mio ben for sopranos.
Yes.
So I want to remind our listeners once again that if you have questions, please use the Q&A function, and we'll read some of those questions and address them at the end. I'm sure many of you do have questions about this unique experience. And without further ado, let's hear this beautiful New Year's Eve celebration played by Wang Guowei. Oh, how absolutely beautiful. How do you say bravo in Chinese?
How? Just the word good. How?
How?
Yes.
Oh, it's very beautiful.
Bravo, 好极了，好极了 is
Oh, right. You want to be more expressive. You say 好极了.
Uh-huh. Wonderful. Well, that's just really amazing. So we did have one question come up that I wanted to ask you about now. We'll hear more questions. We'll have you answer more questions later. But a good question is, has this music been notated?
Yes, this particular piece, yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And does it look like standard Western notation?
Well, for traditional music, we use a numeric notation. The numbers going from 1 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers correspond to the scale degrees. 1 would be the do, and 2 is the re, and 3 is the mi. So it's numeric. And parts of the system actually borrows from Western notation too, in terms of the duration of the note and also the rhythm.
Okay, so we could see something there. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well,
we've had many other questions, so we're going to talk about some of those later. But for one woman asked to repeat the name of the instrument. It's the erhu. So ER, which means two, and HU, hu, which is the name of the nomadic tribes outside of the borders of China. So that's where the instrument takes its name. We'll be talking more with you both, and thank you so very much for joining us this evening. We feel like we really got a wonderful cultural lesson and a big treat with that beautiful music. So see you both very soon.
Yes.
So, and of course, we continue to celebrate Black History Month all of February. And we're so privileged to have a very special soprano join us to help us celebrate. Her voice has been described by Opera News as fresh liquid silver and meltingly tender in its high floating vulnerability. I think you're going to agree with that assessment when you hear her. Her one-woman show called This Little Light of Mine, the stories of Marion Anderson and Leontine Price, won her a Midwest Emmy. She's performed with major opera houses in the US and with Kenya Opera in venues throughout Africa. Please welcome soprano Adrienne Danrich.
Hello there, Gina.
Welcome, Adrienne. Lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
And I see you have your friend Marion Anderson there behind you.
Yes. That was a gift from my god sister. She sent that to me all wrapped beautifully. So thank you, Allison.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So how have you been keeping your creative fires burning during this COVID lockdown, Adrienne?
Oh my gosh, Gina, it's not been a fire. It's been a whole blaze, honey. It's been... I have to say that at the beginning of the pandemic, I'm usually a sunny person by nature. However, for the first 2 months, I was literally curled up in a ball, wondering what was I gonna do. And like Roberto said about composing, for me, music became my therapy. So I sang so much, and it was an opportunity that came a month into the pandemic from the St. John's Methodist Church in Albuquerque to do a virtual performance. And I was thinking, oh, wait a minute, I have to get made up, really? But it was my first paying job. So thank you for that, Matthew Greer. We did a beautiful song called Let Us Not Become Weary. It's just a fabulous piece with his choir written by John Cornelis. And then also Raphael Fusco. Do you know Raphael?
Yes, he was on Music for Interesting Times.
What?
Yes, he was. Uh-huh.
Well, he contacted me to sing a solo in his new Requiem. And
Oh,
so I did that virtually. And also, my good friend Nicole Heaston Lane has a series called the Robe Song Series. And we did Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it was her brainchild, conducted by Damian Sneed. And with so many beautiful African American voices. It just got played for the Hank Aaron's memorial recently. So
wonderful.
that's what an honor. I also did a Zoom opera in my living room,
A
Gina.
Zoom opera. Oh,
Yes, the company is Here Art Center, and they sent me this huge green screen in my tiny little apartment, and it was just amazing. So we did it on Zoom. They
amazing.
piped it out through Vimeo, and that opera is Only You Will Recognize the Signal by Kamala Shankaram and Rob Handel, directed by Kristen Martin. But then as you know, I'm also a composer and a writer. And last June, the world exploded. And I think was in May. I can't. My dates are all in this pandemic. Who knows dates anymore? If
I know
I'm not looking.
that's one reason why I want to mark these celebrations, like Beethoven's birthday,
Yes.
Black History Month. Like we know what month it is. We almost
God.
know what year it is,
Yes. Well, George Floyd was murdered, and right before our very eyes, and there was so inside of. Let me speak for myself. I had so much rage and confusion and anger, but also heartbreak for a man I never met before. And I didn't know how to channel that energy. So I called my good friend up, Mila Henry, at the American Opera Project, and we got together. And I said, could we hold a vigil for broken spirits, because the whole country was feeling this pain. So we started this vigil in June, and it was called Hold On, a vigil for broken spirits. And also at that time, my good friend Drew Heminger contacted me to do his song Genius Child on just as a project. And we did that, and then Tulsa Opera heard it, and they featured me on their Staying Alive series. And Genius Child was a part of that as well.
Yeah.
And from that vigil came my new project, which is Music as the Message. And that's 4 episodes on AOP TV. Our next episode is on April 25th. And then the last one of the season is June 13th. And that will be a celebration of Juneteenth, which is on June 19th. Well, you know what Juneteenth is, but it's when all the slaves were finally, people think that the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves, but that wasn't really the case. Not all slaves were freed, but Juneteenth marks the anniversary where all slaves were freed. And Music as a Message is a virtual program that is designed for us to commune musically together, even in our isolation.
How
And
wonderful.
yes.
We need that so terribly.
We do. We really,
do.
really do.
Well, we
Yes.
will be there at those programs for sure. And I've been following you on Facebook and making sure I'm clicking all the right buttons to get it. But you mentioned the Drew Heminger piece, Genius Child.
Mhm.
And so that has text by Langston Hughes, I understand. And so what does that mean for you in the context of this new second round of civil rights demonstrations and all that is coming our way in this era?
The idea that only one set of a population can and has almost a free pass on creation, on going further, on furthering our children's education, furthering our lives as individuals, as artists, as writers, as doctors, as presidents. That has been really not something that has been across the board for all the people in America. And Genius Child, the words reflect upon that. This is a song for the genius child. Sing it softly, for the song is wild. Sing sing as softly as ever you can, lest the song get out of hand. So shine, but don't shine too brightly. That's what that song means to me.
That's really so insightful, and we would love to hear that. Please
Yes,
sing that. And I
I
just want
will.
to ask you: is the composer Drew Heminger at the piano in this?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
wonderful.
Drew is playing the piano for me
Okay,
on
wonderful.
here. Okay, so here we go. Technology is great until it's not. So let's just pray that the technology gods are with us.
All right.
Okay. And if it's not, I am not afraid to stop and start over. You just let me know.
Okay, wonderful.
This is a song for the genius child. Sing it softly, for the song is wild. Sing it softly as ever you can, lest the song get out of hand. Nobody loves a genius child. Can you love an eagle, tame or wild? Can you love an eagle, wild or tame? Can you love a monster of threatening name? Nobody loves a genius child. Nobody loves a genius child. Kill him and let his soul run wild. Let his soul run wild.
Ah, so sublime and so evocative. I mean, the genius child really says to me that genius comes in so many forms. I mean, Langston Hughes was so ahead of his time in recognizing these many kinds of intelligence that we now name. The genius child is just has an intelligence that we might not have noticed or recognized or seen as our own.
Exactly. Exactly. Trying to shine a spotlight on not the other, right? But inclusivity. And actually, there's such a rejection of inclusivity, which is part of why we are still fighting the civil rights battle. You know, there's such a preoccupation with otherness and the fear of otherness that we, as a country, once we start moving towards us, rather than them, I think we will go really much further as a country.
And so one of your heroines in your show, This Little Light of Mine, Marion Anderson, did so much in her lifetime. Can you tell us about some of her legacy and how that has really inspired you?
Yes, Marion Anderson was a star. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most people do know about Marion Anderson, but she was a American contralto, and she was even self-described accidental civil rights leader, because she was very soft-spoken. She loved her art, but her art is what opened the doors. So Marion Anderson did so many things. For instance, in 1955, Marion Anderson became the first African-American to sing a major role or principal role on the Metropolitan Opera stage. And her most, the achievement, I don't even know if I should even call it that, because the historical incident or event that she's most related to is her singing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in 1939 on Easter Sunday. And that came about because she was refused by the Constitution Hall for her to perform there. And Constitution Hall was owned by the Daughters of the American Revolution at the time. And First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt was a member of the Constitution Hall. And she gave up her membership, Gina, after that, because they would not allow Black people to perform. So Eleanor Roosevelt got together with Walter White of the NAACP, and they got together and made this concert happen for Marion Anderson on Easter Sunday in 1939, and 75,000 people in 1939 came to hear Marion sing. And she said that she felt like she couldn't breathe and the words, might not come out right. She was an absolute star, Gina, in Europe, in Finland, other countries of Scandinavia. And then she comes home here to America and they say, nope, you can't sing here, Marion. We don't care how famous you are around the world, but because you are Black. And she opened the door and was a standard, a beacon for not only in her lifetime. She was in the audience when Leontine Price made her Metropolitan debut. Did you know that?
Yes, I didn't.
Yes, Leontine Price sang the role of Leonora in Il Trovatore. And there's a beautiful photo of Miss Anderson backstage greeting Leontine Price after that. So she shepherded in all of these other people. And then we could go so far back, Roland Hayes, who was the first Negro, African-American artist to make Negro spirituals really famous. He was a role model for Marion Anderson. And then Marion Anderson was a role model for Leontine Price. And Leontine Price was a role model for me. That's kind of how So
that's quite a lineage.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And would you say that all of those artists share your view that music is music? Good music is good music. We sing, spirituals, and we sing opera, and was it that way?
I can't speak for anyone but myself on that point, because for me, music is music. I sing whatever music makes me happy. But if we go back and I try to get into the minds of these beautiful artists who sang, Leontine Price always has Negro spirituals on her on her recitals. And one of the people that she collaborated with a lot was Margaret Bonds. Margaret Bonds was a Juilliard trained pianist. Who wrote all these fantastic arrangements of Negro spirituals meant to be sung in the concert hall. In the concert hall. Meant to be sung in the concert hall. You have Harry T. Burleigh, who came before that, who was composing beautifully arranged, not just Delta style of spirituals, but spirituals that were meant to be sung by the classical voice. I had the privilege of singing inside of Miss Leontine Price's church. I went there and I went to her home where she grew up, where she was born, actually. And I got to go and sing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, an arrangement by Margaret Bonds that was written for Leontine Price inside of her church. I literally, I can't even believe that happened in my lifetime.
Some channeling going on there.
I know.
That's
it was
so
amazing. Yes.
But so I know that you sing some of these spirituals for the classical voice beautifully, But when you think of spirituals that can really, that got people through the civil rights movement and who are guiding people now and will help us all get through this moment, what have you got for us that you can really lift us up with?
Well, I would like to offer up for you the title selection of the vigil we held for George Floyd. And it's Hold On, Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. And it was actually based off the Negro spiritual, Hold On, Keep Your Hands on the Plow. Mm-hmm. Now, people, I know we can't see you, but you can see me. And what I like, these songs were not, especially this song, was not meant to be sung as a solo. This is a call and response type of song. So even though I can't see you, I would love for you to clap along with me, and you will hear the chorus come over and over. And I want you to join in when you feel like it, because the words, hold on, keep your eyes on the prize, hold on, can apply to any situation, but especially this one here of people not having the freedoms that we were born with. Okay, so here we are. Hold on. Y'all ready to clap with me? I hope so. I can't see you, but I hope you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay. Paul and Silas were bound in jail. They had no money for to go their bail. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout. The jail door opened and they walked out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. The only thing that we did wrong, we stayed in the wilderness for far too long. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. The only thing that we did right was the day that we began to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Freedom's name is mighty sweet, and one day we are going to meet. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. I got my hand on the gospel plow. I wouldn't trade nothing for my journey now. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. I hope y'all sang with me out there. I hope you sang.
We're going to hold on. Yes, we are. We're going to make it through all this. I'm so delighted, just so delighted and so uplifted by what you're bringing all of us. Not only have you kept your own fires burning, but you've shared that warmth and that joy with so many people through these times.
Thank you, Gina.
It's just wonderful.
Thank you.
Such a gift you're giving to us all.
Thanks.
Well, I would like to welcome back our other guests tonight, and we'll have a little chat all together. So don't forget, add your questions to the Q&A, and we're going to see what our audiences have been asking. Okay, so let's see. We have a question for Giuseppe. Jonathan Dobin would like to know, Giuseppe, how is preparing for a recording different than preparing for a concert?
It's different since when you play for a concert, you have to work very much on playing through, continuity, going ahead. So even when there is a mistake, you must think about the long haul, going ahead, playing the piece as a whole. Of course, you have to think about the details, but mostly you have to go through. When you record, you must work very much on the details. So you must think of the unity, but mostly you must be perfect. Because nowadays, I mean, you cannot make recordings anymore with mistakes. So it's different. The point of view, when you record, you work with a magnifying lens. It's very
Yes.
different.
Yes. Yeah, wonderful. That's true. And so, Roberto, is there something that you can add to that about how you work for composing specifically to be recorded versus for live? Is there any difference?
No, the writing process is the same. Of course, I like to be present whenever the music is recorded, because sometimes, you know, you can give some, you can change some idea in the interpretation. Usually the interpreter doesn't know something about the piece that when I tell him, that can be anything. Like I was cooking when I was thinking about this music, or I was thinking and of course the interpretation change, and so I want to be present when there is interpretation. Of course, in the studio recording you can do more, because you can redo the section many times, and then you find a product that is very, very satisfying.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have a question from Gabrielle Shatton for Wang Guowei. She wants to know more about your instrument. Specifically, are there frets? Are there frets? So like the guitar has those...
No
frets.
No frets.
So how does that affect the...
Just like a Western violin, no fret.
No frets. Okay.
Yeah, no frets, but it's a little difficult to control the intonation on the erhu, because unlike the violin, you're pushing the string against the neck. You know, right. So the string is being stopped by the neck, but the erhu it's not. So how much pressure you apply, you know, on your finger is very important to the intonation. Right. So that's difficult.
You also play a traditional instrument, don't you, Susan?
I play a large moon guitar, which is like a bass guitar. Uh-huh. So in the ensemble, I play the bass, and I can play a little bit of the hammer dulcimer.
Is that used in Chinese music?
Yes, very important in the Chinese ensemble. But it's not a Chinese instrument of origin. It's Persian. You know, comes from the Middle East.
Right. Yeah, so interesting. So let's see. We have a question from Claire Procopio, who is asking Adrienne, what Fach you belong to? What do you consider yourself? Soprano, alto, mezzo, contralto.
I am on demand. No, just kidding. I have been described as a spinto soprano. However, my range is from a low E, below middle C, to a high E flat on good days, and a solid D. A high D. So, but I try to utilize my color in different ways depending on what I sing. You know, I was actually raised on singing pop music. You know, that's the kind of looking out on the morning rain. I used to feel so uninspired. That's how I was raised. However, after getting classical training, my whole world opened up and my head exploded when I'm singing these high notes, and it's so invigorating. But now music is music, Gina. So I sing everything. I sing every Fach. Bring it on. No, just kidding.
It's amazing. I mean, you're so chameleon-like in your ability to adjust your voice to what the musical requirements are. It's almost really like coming from a different place in you.
I owe that to my voice teacher, though, because the instrument is the same. I have the erhu is played traditionally in that way, but I'm sure that there has been experimentation to use it in a different way. I know the piano you can play all kinds of stuff on. So I have the same lungs, I have the same vocal folds, I have the same articulators. However, I just place my voice in a different place and breathe the same. And that's the difference for me personally, how much backspace I have open, whether it's forward or whether it's in the mouth. That makes the difference with like singing Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. It's like full-throated, and you have to use a little bit more refinement, a little bit more control when you're doing Chi bel sogno. Chi bel sogno di doretta potendo avvinar. All right, Maestro, I see you over there. No. But so you just have to know exactly the style of music you're singing and where it is placed inside your mask. And that for me is the simplicity of changing styles.
And P.S. mask, not as we know them now.
Oh, yes.
The mask that we know now is down here, but the mask that she's talking about is here.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
And we have a question from Pablo Ramirez for all about your practice, how much time you dedicate to your practice and how your practice takes shape each day. And that's for anyone who wants to take it up. Any takers?
Never enough.
Never enough. Right. Is there more time now that we're more at home?
No, there's not. For me, I mean, I'm used to warming up, putting on my makeup, going out, and then taking the makeup off and having someone do it for me. Now I have to set up my own set. I have to be my own sound engineer. I have to do all of that stuff. So once you do the production side of it, the artist is like, hey, what about me? Right. So I do not practice every day. However, I do warm up every day to make sure that my voice is in line. And so to make sure it doesn't get flabby or whatever. But practice for me, like what Giuseppe, never enough time, never enough. I mean, it's always something, especially if you're so anal like I am, I'm never happy. Like I'm always going, no, that's not quite right. I record myself and I listen back and I listen as if I'm listening to someone else sing. So how picky I would be my ears would be for someone else, that is how I listen to myself when I practice. Always record myself, always listen back. I can always hear what I need to do if it's a little under, a little, spread or what have you. So, but I do not practice every day.
How about you, Wang? Do you practice every day?
Practice and practice.
Wow. How many hours do you practice?
Okay, for now is when my student, I play at least 4 hours every day.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's very inspiring. It's wonderful to know that all of you are keeping the creative fires burning, not only for yourselves, but for everybody else as well, and helping us mark out our time so that we know what day and what year and what celebration we're having. And, I'm just convinced that we are going to hold on and that we are going to get through this together. And really, for the first time ever in my lifetime, we can really say we're all in the same boat and mean not just us talking to each other, not just the U.S., the entire world. We're all in this. So may it be an opportunity to reset and to have more equity and to have more equality and to have more opportunities for all as we come out of this. So I'm going to wrap up for this evening. I'm really just so tickled that we're able to talk like this, and thanks to our guests, Roberto Scarcella Perino, Giuseppe Bruno, Wang Guowei, Susan Chang, and Adrienne Danrich. And thank you so much for your wonderful hosting and producing Casa Italiana Zerilli-Marimò, especially Julian Sachs, Kostya Kostic, and Stefano Albertini. And I hope very much to see you on another episode of Music for Interesting Times, as long as the times stay interesting. We'll be here. Good night. Buonanotte. Ciao a tutti. Ciao, ciao.